Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony Riviecio's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony Rivieccio, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Financial Focus University. My name is Professor Anthony Rivieccio. I will be your lecturer and teacher this evening. Again, welcome to Financial Focus University. We're going to be talking about three very important areas of your financial life today. Our first segment will have to do with what we traditionally call Bidenomics. Bidenomics has really had a crazy week. We've had a lot of economic data come in, both United States and abroad. President Biden just made some Saudi Arabian speech a few minutes ago. We'll go over that. And we'll talk about how the market did for the week. Get some tissue ready. You may not like it. Our second segment, which is our traditional how-to segment, well, we're going to change that up a little bit. We're going to call it Why Income Tax Planning. And be prepared, because we're going to have a several-week segment on tax planning. We will talk about the generalities of tax planning today, and then in the next several weeks, we will talk about individual tax planning, estate tax planning, small business tax planning. So definitely stay tuned. Press the subscribe button if it's in front of you. And then our third and final segment, ladies and gentlemen, has to do with what I call the professor's opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, 30% ground beef. It's called inflation. We're going to talk about it. Let me again introduce myself. I am the current CEO of a virtual financial advisory firm called Rivieccio Financial Advisors. I founded the 25-year money management firm called the Financial Advisors Group, and some might know me as their college professor, both at Herbert H. Lehman College and Monroe College, teaching areas of personal finance. Now that I got that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the economic indicators for the week. Let's talk about Bidenomics. Let's talk about how your money is doing. So when we talk about the week, we had, ladies and gentlemen, a whole bunch of data that came in. And when I tell you it was a crazy week, let's talk about some of those data points for a moment. The first data point was, of course, we had what I call a Twitter war. Right now, the board of directors wants Elon Musk to buy. Elon Musk doesn't want to buy because he believes there's too many bots. Well, I'm not an expert on bots, but if you're watching this show, I'm going to guess you're comfortable with social media. So you know how many bots there are, and of course, the market has responded. Second area is we had several bank earnings that came in. Chase Manhattan Bank reported their earnings. Morgan Stanley reported their earnings. Their earnings went down. Citibank, on the other hand, indicated that their growth for the quarter looks wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, then we had a very, in my opinion, probably one of the more scary situations of this whole data this week. We call it the PPI. You'll see it up there as something called the Producer Price Index. This index is closely tied to CPI, Consumer Price Index, and it's supposed to give us a hint of what producers, suppliers are paying, right, to get it to the consumer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that number is 11%. And as I said to a friend of mine earlier, well, I'm sure everybody grabbed the national headlines and saw that consumer price inflation was at 9.1%. Right? So if the producer price index is at 11, consumer prices are at 9, guess what's going up? So we'll talk about that. Jobless claims, ladies and gentlemen. Jobless claims are going up. They're skyrocketing. They're going up to the highest level of 9 months ago. When jobless claims go up, unemployment insurance goes up. When unemployment insurance goes up, job growth goes down. All sound good, right? But then we had another area called retail sales. And I think this number is very, very much on the tricky side, okay? Because retail sales went up 0.7%. But this is an uninflation adjusted number. When you add on the rate of inflation, this number could be a negative. Even if it wasn't a negative, we know that retail stores are closing. So is all of this being moved to online? And ladies and gentlemen, there's a secondary problem. What are people spending? Are they spending their money or are they spending debt? Are they spending credit? Right? People are, or are they spending the unemployment insurance? Right? Which one are they doing? And then, ladies and gentlemen, Saudi Arabia. I find this personally to be very troubling. I am a very big golf fan. Some of you might have heard about the LIV golf situation that Saudi Arabia is now financing. And there's been a very big controversy with the PGA, Professional Golf Association of America, now saying they don't want to be affiliated. They don't want their players to be affiliated. But some have decided to, for lack of a better word, jump ship because the money is very good. Well, in my opinion, Joe Biden did nothing no different today. And you will hear later on today how him and the prince made all these agreements that, personally speaking, I think mean nothing. But of course, the market responded. The market responded to all this data. So how did we do for the week? Let's go to the next slide. And ladies and gentlemen, start grabbing your tissue. Because on Monday, we went down. We went down 1.2%. On Tuesday, we went down again. We went down 0.8%. On Wednesday, hello, we went down again, 0.4%. Are your seatbelts on? Thursday, we went down again, 0.2%. Right? It's starting to get a little cushier though, right? And then today, we finally went back up. We went up. We had a great day, ladies and gentlemen. We went up at 1.8%. But as you can see, 4 out of the 5 days were very, very tough. Add it all up, subtract it in half. What does it all mean? Let's go to the next slide. And ladies and gentlemen, what it means is this. The stock market for the week did still a negative. It did negative 0.8% for the week. That's what stocks did. Let's talk about bonds. I find the situation in bonds to be very interesting. Bonds, actually, the 2-year bond, right, the short-term bond actually went up, right? Last week it was at 3.08. Now it's at 3.13, right? So the yield curve went up. When the yield curve goes up, that's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen. That means there is some growth in the economy. But let's now go a little bit longer term, right? And let's look at the 10-year bond. Well, the 10-year bond last week was at 3.10. Well, now it's at 2.92. The yield curve went down. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called an inverted yield curve. When short-term rates go up, long-term rates go down. A healthy yield curve, which translates to a healthy economy, is that as short-term rates are down, they move up based on the length of years. So it's pretty much, I don't want to call it a straight line, but a nice sliding up line. That is the sign of a normal economy. As you can see, between the 2-year and 10-year bond, we have a spread problem, and it's getting bigger. So are we growing or are we in a recession? That will be the debate you will hear next week. But let's get back to this week. So how is the stock market doing for 2022? For a total of 27 weeks, right, since the beginning of the year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're down. We're down negative 16.3%. You know where you might see that number in dollars? I understand America got their 401k statements this week. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm available for 3 15-minute telephone conversations. Not 2 hours. I've already gotten those. But we are in a scary market. And as you can see, we have our wonderful Bob Press Gloom and Doom Index, which really didn't do any better, right? He is down at negative 9.6%. And of course, Bob gave me a call. We had a short conversation. He understands what's going on. All of those Donald Trump games are now gone. And I told him, and ladies and gentlemen, it applies to you. You guys have a double whammy. Not only did you lose the Donald Trump gains, right? But now the money that's sitting there is getting devalued. Hello, America. 347-575-5045. If you want to take me up on that 15-minute free telephone conversation, ladies and gentlemen, Bidenomics says to me this week, thank God it's Friday. We'll be back in a moment.
America Open Market, AO Market, the best digital market for humanity, is a free multilingual borderless market open to international sellers with various languages included. With America Open Market, you may start selling in minutes after filling out the form. Comprehensive dashboard where you understand your sales, orders, and customers is available. You get paid directly, securely, and instantly on the America Open Market. You can sell your house, car, electronic laptop, CD player, boombox, phone, headphones, furniture, and clothing, and anything on AmericaOpenMarket.com where all your sales and customer needs are met. Register as a merchant today. You will not regret becoming a vendor at America Open Market. For further inquiries, contact us at aomarket@gmail.com. AO Market, best digital marketplace for humanity.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into what I should call our personal finance segment, right? Our show is really about financial news, financial information, most of which I've just covered. And now we get to, I guess, maybe the part I actually enjoy the most, which is personal finance. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about why income tax planning, why we should start thinking about it right now. It is very important in our financial lives that we want an income tax refund, right? Let's get to the bottom line real quick, right? We want that check, and you will save it, you will spend it, you will invest it, you'll probably do all three. You might give it to family, you might put it under the mattress. But the bottom line is we also want to pay our fair share of taxes, right? But we want to pay our fair share. We don't want to pay too much, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, for this week and for the next several weeks, we're going to cover different segments of income tax planning. We're going to start with why. Why should one do income tax planning? Ladies and gentlemen, grab a pen, grab a paper, and we're going to go to the next slide, because before we can talk about why, we have to talk about what. What is income tax planning? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I see that our slide might be a little hard to read, but keep the pen handy. I'm going to give you some notes, and of course, I'll give you my email address for a copy of these slides if anybody would like a copy. So, what is income tax planning? Ladies and gentlemen, the definition and answer is very simple. It is about analyzing your financial situation so you can minimize on your income tax liability. If you do that, it's going to create two functions. The first one is, of course, you're going to owe less. And then this, right, which now leads automatically to the second function, which means you're going to make more money. You're going to save more money. You're going to have more money in your pocket. Hello, income tax refund. So income tax planning is really about understanding which tax benefits apply so you can take advantage of them, right? We're going to dive into that a little bit more in a minute and in the next several weeks. But ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about all of the areas in the income tax code that may or may not apply to you, we're really talking about two specific areas. I want to show you how they affect your money. You'll see down at the bottom of the chart, I put income tax deduction, income tax credit. Now, what's the difference between a deduction and a credit? Well, we're going to go over the official definition on the next page. But I always like to show the money value first because people understand that a little bit better. Now, you should know there are over 500 areas of deductibility. Some of them are tax credits, some of them are tax deductions. So let's say you have $1 deduction, right? Let's say you had a $1 deduction. You had a $1 receipt and it was known as a deduction. And then you also had a tax credit. You took advantage of that. That was also $1. And now you have a $1 deduction. You have a $1 tax credit. What does it mean as far as a true tax benefit to you? Well, if it's a $1 tax deduction, then it's got to be subtracted by your income tax bracket because the definition of a tax deduction is that it lowers your taxable income. Here in the city and state of New York, if you add up federal, city, state, etc. taxes, you're pretty much looking at an area of 35 to 40%. For our purposes, I made it 40%. Anyone in the middle class tax bracket would pretty much hit the 40% mark. So if you had a $1 deduction and it got taxed by your tax bracket, well, ladies and gentlemen, you get money back. You get 60 cents of that back. That's better than nothing. But if you had a tax credit, that same $1, which is now a tax credit, well, that is a 100% scot-free credit. So you get that $1 back. Which one is better? Well, of course, from a money standpoint, a tax credit is better. But you want to take advantage of both, right? Because 60 cents is better than zero, right? So it's very important that we understand it from a money point of view before we go into the official definition. The official definition is on our next slide. So when we look at our next slide, you will see that we have and again, I apologize, but feel free to take notes, and I'll give you my email address in a few moments. So what an income tax deduction is that, again, it allows you to reduce your tax income. And how it gets reduced is that deduction is times your income tax bracket, generally between 30 to 40%. The rest of it comes back to you. An income tax credit, again, is subject to 0% taxes. So the $1 credit, you get that $1 back right into your refund. So let's talk about the different types of income tax planning, because ladies and gentlemen, there is not just one. There are several different types of income tax planning. And we're going to go over some of these in the next several weeks. So when we go to the next slide, when we talk about different types of income tax planning, you'll see on the top of the chart, there are predominantly 4 areas. One area is what I call federal individual income tax planning. The second area that you'll see is income tax retirement planning. The third area you'll see is income tax estate planning. And then the last area you'll see is income tax small business planning. So as you can see, these things fit to the individual lifestyle. 60 to 70% of the IRS code in regards to deductions and credits go right into that first area, the federal individual tax code. And we're going to go over that in the next several weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And the other 30 to 40% cover the other 3 areas. Although, and we're going to go over those as well in future weeks. I would definitely stay tuned for the small business area, where I think there are some tremendous advantages. But we're going to cover them one by one. So let's short-term vision talk about all 4 right now. So when we talk about the first one, right, the federal individual tax planning area, right, just to give you some examples, ladies and gentlemen, this thing gets very detailed, and we'll talk about how to capture all that data in a few moments. But we're talking about things that might be affecting you in your everyday life. We're talking about things such as student loan interest. We're talking about any education credits you might have had. We're talking about any gifts to charities that you might have made. We're talking about your children, the age of children, whether you had a babysitter, whether you had to provide different types of things to them. We're talking about medical expenses, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about adjusting your W-4, right? At work, you want to again pay your fair share of taxes, right? And we're talking about rental expenses. A lot of people today rent out a portion of their apartment or property for rental income. Congratulations. Now, of course, I'm sure as the landlord, the ad hoc landlord, now you had rental expenses, right? So we should learn what all of those things are when we talk about federal individual tax code. That applies to everyone, really, but I'm chopping it down to 60, 70% because, again, we all have to file our individual taxes before we can talk about those three areas. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive more into this first one. The second one, retirement. And I want you to bear with me for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. So retirement income tax planning. When I say retirement income tax planning, what are we talking about? We're talking about reducing your tax liability, but we're talking about reducing it geared towards your retirement. So we're talking about retirement savings, right? We're talking about trying to make savings in any IRAs you have, any 401ks you have, any annuities you might have, any life insurance you might have, any Social Security that may apply now or in the future, right? So there's tax planning that definitely applies to a segment that always is going to be looking at retirement. Let's take a moment and talk about estate planning. With estate planning, what are we looking to do? Well, we're looking very simply, right, to preserve the value of the estate. Ladies and gentlemen, let me apologize real quick. We did not have our show last week. One of the reasons why is that I had a wonderful client who's no longer with us, and our office for years prior helped to put together her estate planning arrangement. Now, those things get very detailed. Of course, we helped her from an income tax standpoint. So staying on this topic, right, where we're talking about wills, trusts, reverse transactions, gifting, federal estate taxation, user taxation. Again, all of these comprehensive and complicated things that come up when you leave us, right? So yes, it's the story is true. You get taxed when you're alive, and you get taxed when you're no longer with us. So we handled that as well as many of her other, arrangements that had to be taken care of, and I sadly had to take off. But in regards to her taxes, her taxes preserved her estate. And then, of course, doing other things preserved it as well. But that's a portion of income tax planning. The last area, small business planning. Well, small business planning, ladies and gentlemen, from an income tax standpoint, to me, is a very unique opportunity as well as a unique responsibility, right? America today, as they've always done, actually, has been the lead front with small business, mom and pop business, and now home-based businesses, right? As long as they are certified by the government with an EIN number, they are no bigger or smaller than IBM and AT&T. You have unique opportunities, unique responsibilities, and that includes income tax benefits, right? So there are 24 areas that may or may not apply to your small business, just to mention a few. Of course, the rent, the car, any equipment, any traveling, any utilities. And we're going to cover this and the other segments in our next 4 weeks. So, of course, the first one being federal income tax planning. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned something today from a generality standpoint. If you can't wait to join me, please feel free to click the subscribe button. If you would like a copy of this presentation, feel free to email me, letter A _ RIVIECCIO @yahoo.com. Because, of course, the benefits of tax planning are several, right? Anywhere from just solving any income tax problems we have to maybe people looking to create a college or educational fund for their children, or supporting their own small businesses, or looking to generate more retirement savings, or maximizing on their estate planning, or securing that they know they're going to leave money for their heirs, for their children. So tax planning really applies to what it is you want to do as the individual. Ladies and gentlemen, join us for the next several weeks as we talk about different elements of income tax planning. Again, feel free to email me if you'd like a copy of the slide. Any questions, 347-575-5045. We'll be back in a moment.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I apologize. You caught me doing some quick calculations because I wanted to get this done. I wanted to share some info with you before this segment, but here we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, our last segment tonight has to do with what we call the professor's opinion. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't emphasize enough what I said earlier, okay, that if you heard our economic indicator report for the week, we pretty much recognize, of course, we are in an inflationary, depressionary state. And I really wonder whether our government recognizes what's going on. Our government talks about gas prices, which of course is important. I spoke to a friend of mine today that when he talks about the market, he talks about gold prices. And, of course, gold prices are important. And as a former money manager, I always keep an eye on them. But today's looking at gold as an indicator as to what's going on, those days are over. So as I said to him, and let's go to the next slide, I said, to me, this is an example of, the day-to-day indicators. So what you're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, is just some examples of year over year, right? We heard year over year that inflation went up 9.1%, right? We heard that. And we also heard this week supply rates went up 11%, right? So, again, what does that all mean? Have you looking at that, or have you been to the store already? If you went to the store already, these prices might have gone higher, right? Isn't it wonderful to see milk year over year at 19% higher? Isn't it nice to see bread at 11% higher year over year? Isn't it nice to see gasoline at 38% higher year over year? Year over year, you can look at chicken from $1.47 to $1.83. You can look at beef from $4.15 to $5. You don't need to be a mathematical scientist to know that's almost a 20% increase. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like to interject politics in my economic show. I always like to joke around and say that the best Democrats, economic Democrats, are Republicans, and the best economic Republicans are Democrats, and I've got all sorts of proof for that. But I'm just concerned about looking at the bottom line. Ladies and gentlemen, let this be the reason that you call to get a financial advisor to protect your portfolio. We know that the Federal Reserve Board is going to hike interest rates higher. We also know that Senator Munchkin, if no one has heard today, has pretty much told Joe Biden again, the Build Back Better bill is dead. Joe Biden has not come up with an answer. So until somebody comes up with an answer, I think it's time to protect your money. So the professor's opinion, call someone for some assistance. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Be financially focused. Have a great weekend.
America Open Market, AO Market. The best digital market for humanity is a free multilingual borderless market open to international sellers with various languages included. With America Open Market, you may start selling in minutes after filling out the form. Comprehensive dashboard where you understand your sales, orders, and customers is available. You get paid directly, securely, and instantly on the America Open Market. You can sell your house, car, electronic laptop, CD player, boombox, phone, headphones, furniture, and clothing, and anything on AmericaOpenMarket.com where all your sales and customer needs are met. Register as a merchant today. You will not regret becoming a vendor at America Open Market. For further inquiries, contact us at aomarket@gmail.com.